This is a story about basic underwater demolition SEAL training and deals with the first 4 weeks of training, including Hell Week. The title of the story, Good Advice.
Tadpoles, you are all slimy tadpoles, and from the looks of it, none of you have what it takes to become frogs.
This was an opening remark from our welcome aboard speech, and probably the kindest words we would hear spoken by our instructors during the first 3 weeks of training. Yes, we were tadpoles, all dressed in green and wearing a helmet liner, also painted green, with a simple white number painted on his front and back. At this point of training, we were no more than that simple white number. Basic underwater demolition SEAL training had started with a bang, the instructor shouting orders so fast it seemed impossible to keep up with them. For those trainees who made the slightest mistake, punishment would be immediate and harsh. The instructors made one point very clear. No trainee would be allowed to quit before the beginning of Hell Week. The instructors would drop trainees before Hell Week, but again, no trainee would be allowed to quit, and Hell Week was scheduled the 4th week of training. The first 2 to 3 days were filled with running, swimming, and physical training. The instructors were continually screaming, punishing, and telling trainees what was expected of them if they wanted to stay in the program. Another fact that we quickly learned in BUDS was that a trainee is required to run everywhere he goes. If an instructor caught a trainee walking, there would be hell to pay. Punishment was dealt out immediately and continued for as long as the instructor felt it was warranted, and that could be several days. We soon learned that the best thing a trainee could do was what he was told, to the best of his ability, and as quickly as he could do it. By the end of the 3rd week of training, the class had been divided into 7-man boat crews, and trainees were starting to work together in these small units. We spent a good deal of time in the bay and ocean, learning the intricacies of the inflatable boat small. When not in the water, we were required to carry the boat on our heads. Weighing in at approximately 200 pounds, the IBS was awkward and difficult to manage. Because we were required to run everywhere we went, the same held true when we were carrying the IBS. Running caused the boat to bounce up and down, which in turn drove our necks down into our shoulders. The pain was excruciating, and there were times the instructors forced us to stand with the boat on our heads what seemed an eternity. If by chance the boat would slip from our head to our shoulders, the instructors would order us to put a member of our boat crew in the IBS. The remaining 6 men would then return the boat to their heads. Then on Saturday, the day before Hell Week was to begin, the instructors ran the class to the Silver Strand for a special treat. Few of us expected any kind of a treat from the instructors, and were therefore not surprised when told we would run 15 miles in the soft sand. For some, this proved too difficult. Although every man did eventually complete the run, others were only able to finish the run with the help of members of their boat crew. To quit, these trainees would simply turn in their helmet liner at the beginning of Hell Week. Now, in anticipation of Hell Week, most trainees try to find an edge that will help them overcome this major hurdle. For my class, Class 28, there was a trainee who had started training as a member of Class 27, but due to an injury had to drop out and was therefore rolled over to the next class, Class 28. His injury had occurred during the final week of training while at San Clemente, so he knew what to expect and gave us some very important advice. The trainee I referred to was Andy Anderson. He was a quiet individual who pretty much stayed to himself. We picked his brain as much as he would allow and came away with some rather strange suggestions. The first, don't wear skivvies or underpants during Hell Week. Second, shave your groin area from your crotch down your leg about 6 inches. Then tape that area with wide surgical tape. Now I have to admit, at that moment I didn't understand or appreciate the significance of the gift I had just been given. I believed the man, and the day Hell Week was to start, I had done what had been suggested. Andy would not go into elaborate detail as to why we should do what he suggested, and pretty much left it at that. As we started Hell Week, it didn't take long before I clearly understood the importance of what Andy had suggested. You don't wear underpants because you are wet the entire week and crawling in the sand much of that time. As you pick up sand and it gets into your pants, it collects in the groin area and starts to rub holes in your thighs. It doesn't take long before your groin area has been rubbed raw, and the underpants, if you wear them, retain the sand and exacerbate the problem. Even if you don't wear underpants, the sand in your pants collects in the groin area. Without the tape to prevent it, the sand will rub and irritate the skin and cause the area to cut and bleed. The situation became so critical for some of the trainees they could hardly walk. I would watch those men who had sustained the more severe cuts struggle to keep up with the class. Some were cut so badly that when they entered the ocean and the salt from the ocean water entered their cuts, they would suck air and grimace in pain. It's kind of like sitting in very hot water, if you have ever had that experience. Sadly, the rash and cutting sustained by some trainees was so severe they were forced to drop out of training. I would watch others being carried along by members of their boat crew because it was too difficult for them to walk without help. There were even men who were chafed and cut so badly that the blood ran down their legs to their ankles, painting their white socks red. Hell Week was but 1 week in training, but during that week, roughly 50% of the class dropped out. Not just for the reasons mentioned above, but for many and varied reasons. While physical hardship ranked high on the list, the predominant factor for men not surviving the hardship and rigors of training was due to inadequate mental preparation. As far as I was concerned, there would be nothing that could have convinced me to quit. I had wanted to be in the team since I was 7 years old and had spent my entire life from that point in time with the single purpose of attaining that goal. If you enjoyed this story and would like to purchase a copy of my book, go to www.udt-seal-stories.com and I will send you a signed copy. If you prefer the Kindle version, go to Amazon.com, books, type in Nick Nicholson. Thank you.